would have a confrontation.
Angry member at a Y about the whirlpool being broken.
I love that. Did everybody hear that? Angry member at the Y wants to complain about the pool being broken. All right, who wants to be the angry pool guy? Who wants to be the manager? I'll be the manager. You'll be the manager. Okay. You're the manager. All right. You have 17 associates and 15 called out.
That's realistic.
Thank you. Someone understands. That's 100%.
I used to be a pool man.
Oh, okay. You're the angry guy about the pool, but you just crashed your Ferrari, and you just wanted to come and relieve time in the pool because you got to deal with this Ferrari that's going to have $20,000 worth of damage you got to get fixed. Got it? All right. Ready? Your job is to de-escalate. Explain to him that the pool will not be fixed until tomorrow or the next day. And anything from there is yours. All right? You can do anything you feel is needed to relieve your stress of this car crash and this pool incident. But then that we can do on film. That we can do on camera. Let's clarify. Yeah, exactly. That we can do on camera. So let's.
You all sign liability.
I know. We don't want like a whole bunch of words and eye gouging. And, that's a different level of understanding. We got to charge you for to teach that stuff. So, all right.
G. Rated G.
PG. 1980s PG, but there was only PG and R. Okay. All right, you ready? Take it away.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
What is the deal with our pools being closed? I can't get in. What I need to soak right now. Do you know how stressed I am?
I understand.
What is going on?
I would like to tell you.
What is going on? Tell me what is going on. Why can't I soak? You know how expensive my car is? Like, why can't I soak? No. What? No.
So here's what's
Watch
going
it.
on.
Watch it. Very good. Very good. Now, times have changed. Does everybody understand that? That is a very good today assessment of how that would happen. I was doing most of that management type stuff at that level in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, where no one had a cell phone. So how things happen depends on how well you wrote it up after the fact. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? All right? So, very great interaction. Does anybody want to say any positives or negatives about it? How about 3 positives? From Ari's side. You're just a bad guy. There's nothing you can say. You're just bad. Well, complaining is good, but everything was bad.
Stay calm.
Stay calm. I will take stay calm. Ari did not escalate. He attempted to de-escalate. And he moved into a ready stance. Has everybody got that? I will take that. 3, you want to add another one? He started working on very non-threatening emotions as he de-escalated. I will take those as well. All right. Did you have one or you good? Bad?
He said eye contact.
You didn't raise your hand?
I can't tell who you're looking at.
Oh, you.
Oh, me.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I will point better.
Sorry, I just got my glasses. It was kind of with the non-threatening. I like how he held the hand on instead of pushing it away, because that'll just invite more.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody see anything bad that he did? No lie. My eye was a little rough. He closed in my eye pretty quickly. Anything else? No? Can I add a couple? He did. Yes. As an associate or someone working in a place, once you make physical contact, that is assault. Yeah, so you cannot assault anyone. They can assault you. You cannot, well, let me rephrase it. You can assault them, but then you need to go to unemployment. So that's the direction of the path of travel. All right, so I heard you could do better with my eye. I heard that. Is there anything else? All right, I'm going to add one. He allowed his hands to be higher than his. All right? He was being very vocal with his hands, and you kept your hands a little bit down. So that would have gave him a free strike. All right? So you want to build. I assume everybody knows what an old-fashioned mousetrap is. Does that make sense? Right. So you want to kind of open it up and then put the cheese right in the middle, and you just sit there and wait for him to grab it. Does that make sense? All right, so if I can borrow you here. So he's coming forward, he wishes to make contact. This is the cheese. All right, as soon as I do this, I am putting out cheese. I am letting him know that he is a dominant force. And anytime he makes that initial entry towards me, that gives me all legal rights in any county, state, city that I know of to defend myself and my presence. All right. In the state of Maryland, they say once that you have retreated, you are able to defend yourself in any situation. Does that make sense? So I can't stand here and fight with them. But if I have proof that I actually retreated, now I am being attacked. So I have total cause to defend myself. Does that make sense? So me, I would keep my hands up, and as soon as he reached out for me, I'm just going to keep him away. That is his one warning about the mousetrap is here. Does that make sense? And then if he ever gets his hands on me, then I'm going to work on my Aikido. This was always one of my favorites. All right, we're going to do this one last, but Ian went for it first. That's fine, that's fine. Does everybody know that one? The reason I like this one is because I am over the top. All of his hands are controlled, his headbutt is well off, and his only opportunity of attack is, who wants to guess? Kick. It is only going to be most likely this knee coming up the middle, or some looping weird Muay Thai things that I've seen where knees come up and catch on the other side. Yes. Has everybody got that? But I know that I can absorb those kind of attacks. I'm allergic to the face punchy stuff. All right? I swell up, it just doesn't work well. So over the top, hand on top, elbow, roll over. Does everybody know that one? Yes? And I do not, thank you. You see me do rondori. Okay, I don't think I'm really good at it, but a lot of people think that I am. All of my techniques have a start and an ending, and they all end in the same place. Me walking away. Does that make sense? So, oh, I'm sorry, once again, you would just have to be here, so I'll use you while you're here. So, I am not trying to control him, I'm trying to educate him. Does that make sense? Once you have decided that I am something you're going to attack, I have to decide, and I've already decided this in my mind, whether you're going to go home, to the hospital, or others. Does that make sense? All right, so there is no, well, if this happens, this happens. I've already got Plan Orange lined up. When I get that call, manager, blah, 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 up front, while I'm walking up the front, I am assessing the situation, all right? And if I need to make the call to get my security team to make sure that they're in place, they know code 3, one's back up, one's out the door, we're all set. Does that make sense? So once he decides he wants to make that escalation, it is a de-escalated situation. Does everybody understand where I need to elaborate that on? So, when he reaches out and he does this grab, and I catch this, he is going down. And I'm going to make sure he stays down until the cops get there. Or, if he has friends, I'm going to roll out. And now I'm ready to take care of his friends. Does everybody understand that position? Now, that's an extreme. And that is a lot of training and a lot of practice. But I don't plan on being on the ground with you. I want to eliminate the threat and get back to a standing position where I can see what's going on around me and defend myself more if needed. Does that make sense? So the Aikido that I do is not trick making. It's not designed to practice one technique, or getting someone to the ground, or getting a point. It's all about getting through that situation and to my house. Does that make sense? So, back to the beginning. You have to decide ahead of time, early in your Aikido career, what is Aikido for you? And I'm using Aikido loosely as a word, like sky, I don't know. Because people take the word Aikido and they're like, well, what kind of Aikido? Oh, Tamiki, that crap sucks. Or Aikikai, yeah, that's that old stuff. But Aikido to me is just the way that you take everything in your toolbox and apply it to a situation. So, if you do judo, you do jiu-jitsu, you do boxing, all of those are tools that go in your toolbox that you might need one day, all right? A lot of people, let's say you have a really great hammer, and you can do everything with that hammer. And yes, if you had a screw, you could get that screw in with that hammer. But a screwdriver is much better. Does that make sense? So don't think of your martial art as, well, if my sensei said this is what I have to do. Yes, but it does not mean that a screwdriver might work as well, and it might be better. So go to the store and get a screwdriver. You don't have to use it when you need a hammer, but it's just in your toolbox in case you need it. So what I kept discovering, because this was my job, and I would be doing this all over Baltimore, and I would get one store cleaned up, and they move me to another store. So this is what I did, is that things changed, and I needed more tools for my toolbox. So if I got into a situation with a boxer and I took 3 blows to the head, that was an out. I just knew I took that loss, and I'd go out and I would take some time and I would learn the basics and the understandings of boxing. Does that make sense? And then I knew what to expect from those situations. So don't think of your martial art as just one thing or just Aikido. Look for your older katas. Understand how they relate to the newer katas and see how they all tie together. All right? And you'll find that the punches are in there, that the kicks are in there, that the grappling positions are in there. And if you want to work on those in practice, that's fine. I'm a firm believer of this. If you don't have to fight every day, why do you train to fight? Why is that a need? Can anyone, really, don't answer it, because I'm sure somebody will come up with something. But if you took one technique and learned it really well, I bet you could find that a way to apply that to any type of situation you would get into if fighting is not part of your life. Does that make sense? So I've always just worked on 17 basic techniques more than anything else. Specifically, the footwork of Aikido, because I believe that the feet are how you get to the battle and how you get away from the battle. So that is most important. Everybody got that? So this is what I want to work on next. Everybody stand up. Go back to that confrontational situation, because that's what my life represents. And we're standing here like this, and we've already stood back for confrontation. Everybody got that? So we're in that 1 foot forward, 2 hands up. Left and right depends on you and your Aikido and how you do things. All right? Now, in Aikido, we're working off that one punch, that huge haymaker. In Aikido, if that punch is coming, what direction do we want to go? Inside. We all know that 100%, right? You are a brand new student in class. That's not going to work out every single time. Does that make sense? But we don't want to not practice that. So when I started developing this one set of techniques, this one kata, it was all about, if you keep practicing this kata, it will become more and more understood as you get higher and higher in your Aikido. All right, and it all simply started with this. We're here, we're going to push here. That's it. That's that inside movement that we all do in Aikido. Now, when you get here, are you exactly the same as when you were here? Everybody understand? Is your balance the same? Is your footwork the same? If you move here and you end up like this, it's not the same. All right? And remember, our goal is to look exactly the same entering the fight as leaving the fight. Does that make sense? So everything should be the same. So if we begin our technique like this, we should end our technique like this. Does that make sense? So, this is all we're going to do. Push, go back. Push, check your position, go back. Push, check your position, go back. You got that? Now here's my question. If you were all new white belt students, and I said, do this 10,000 times, who here would do it? I got one hand. All right, I'll take one hand. Because believe it or not, if any student did this 500 times a day, do you think we'd benefit their Aikido? Good one? Yeah. Who here would think they would actually do that? No one, because that's just not who we are. But this is how I teach my students and how I develop my Aikido, is practicing and trying to master the simplest basics I can find. Does that make sense? So this is all we're doing, is this. Boom, back. Boom, back. Boom, back. And remember, this is that point. This is not this drill. What's up? I do this crap all the time. Oh, my life sucks. This is stay, coil, balance, balls to the feet. I am positive. I am in this division. My mindset is correct. I know my goal, and I'm accomplishing my goal. Everybody understand what I'm saying? I am pushing both feet, and I am releasing the tension on this foot, which propels me in that direction, and then I am recoiling. Does that make sense? And now I'm ready to unleash, and I am recoiling. And if you do this for 5 minutes and you're not sweating, you messed something up. Everybody got that? All right, one second. Back to here. So we're going to do this side. And then, remember, it's not a perfect world. Because some people are faster, punches changes. So things coming this way, we might have to end up going this way. Or worst case scenario, we get caught flat-footed. Does that make sense? So we're going to take this foot that's in the back, it's going to come forward, and we're just going to switch things and check our position. Are we coiled? Are we centered? Are we ready to make that next explosive move? So we got that? And then we're going to go back. We go forward, we go back. Forward, go back. Forward, go back. Everybody got that? Okay. All right, now. No one asked me today, but I want you to think seriously deeply about that. If you practice not only this, but the walk itself, every single day, 3 to 5 times a day, would that change your Aikido and your understanding of motion? Yes. As growing up in Montana's world, I didn't think right first. We always told everything in analogies and stories. His funny self told me, which I thought he was joking, go home and do the walk for 3 hours. And then come back and tell me what you think. I'm a very literal person. That's just me. And if Sensei says paint the fence, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to paint the fence. Like, you know, I'm going to come back and ask questions later, but I want to know why he wants me to paint the fence. So I'm going to be out there and I'm going to paint the fence, and I might paint the name, and I'm going to paint the fence and I'll get bored. Or he tells me to stop painting the fence. But I literally did the walk for 3 hours. I've done it 3 times in my life. I recommend everybody do it once, because your body will love you and hate you at the same time. And it kind of opened my eyes to movement. It helped me understand, like, when you move your body, you want to move it as one unit. Everything should be moving as one unit. You don't want to lean and go through it. You don't want to shift your weight and go through it. Because once again, that's all information you're going to be giving to your opponent. So practice the walk first. Everybody got that? All right, great. You got to see. Curtis, can I borrow you for a second? So, remember our initial setup. All right? So we're sitting here. We're having a conversation. Things don't go well. He decides he wants to be the aggressor and attack. All right, with me so far? All right. So as he steps forward, I'll step back into my Aikido. Right. So my hands are equal to his. I still maintain my eye. We're all in my book. All right. Now he decides things didn't go well. We're not going to do any more scenarios. That was fun. Now what he's going to do is he's going to throw this haymaker. All right. Great. Thank you. Now. I know. We'll talk about that later. It's not our Now, I want you to think about this. This is not a trained fighter. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? Where's Jake? How many trained fighters do you think there are in the world? I mean, as a percent, like 3, 5, 1%. Right. I'm going to say this. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Most people in the martial arts world train to fight professional fighters. Like, you know, like, oh, what did you do if Mike Tyson hit you in the face? I'd swell up really bad. That's what's going to right, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's going to happen. I don't train to fight Mike Tyson. Number one, I think I can outrun him. That's an Aikido trick. And number two, I would have no reason for him to punch me in the face. I am an Aikidoka. I am peaceful. I am harmless. I am always looking to solve conflict without violence. So there would be no reason for us to have that conflict. Does that make sense? Believe it or not, most of you professional fighters don't want to fight outside of the ring. Number one, they're not getting paid for it. Number two, they might get hurt and not get paid for it. And everybody knows what number 3 is, right? You get sued. You lose half your stuff. All right, so, but once again, know who you are. if you're in an environment that you play with a whole bunch of people that sit at a desk and type on keyboards all day and complain about their cholesterol, their blood pressure, you don't need to be an MMA fighter to get out of that work environment if things go wrong, right? That one technique should be plenty to get you home. You know, the guy throws his haymaker, oh, you stole my keyboard. And you just kind of step on the way and introduce him to the coffee machine and going about your day, right? Right? And believe it or not, that's a real thing, a story that I've been told. But to take all of your training and think, I'm going to beat that MMA fighter is a great goal. You should be heading in that direction. But don't beat yourself up if you don't make it. All right? Just understand your environment and what your Aikido is truly going to be used for. All right? So, having a conversation, he doesn't like it, he takes a step forward, assault, I protect. All right? What we want to do as Aikidoki is when he throws his haymaker, is enter into the technique. That's generally what we all wish to do. All right? Now, as a new student, that really doesn't always work out. But that is the first one of this technique is because that is the goal where we want to be. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That is the goal. Now, this whole kata, if I can call it that, it's just a group of techniques, is designed to be taught to new students. People that don't have an understanding of Aikido, do not understand the fundamentals, do not understand the principles, but they want to understand how to move in a situation. It doesn't matter what you say. I gotta tell this other story so that it kind of tie it all together. After teaching Aikido for about 4 or 5 years, I had a friend that was working at the University of Baltimore. And he decided that they wanted to start a martial arts training place at the University of Baltimore and asked me to come teach. So I went to the University of Baltimore, like, yeah, I'm gonna teach some Aikido, it's gonna be really great for the thousands of students, it's gonna be really great in Aikido. And you know, classes were pretty big, 50, 60 people from time to time. But what I noticed is that people that came were mostly foreign exchange students. So they would come from overseas, their parents would send them to see how the US is, and they would all come to Baltimore. So, you know, this is a great class. I'm like, hey, great. What would you like to learn? How would you like to learn Aikido? I'm like, well, my dad told me I was going to Baltimore, so I needed to take a martial art to learn self-defense. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of true. All right. And I asked another guy, like, why are you here? He's like, well, this is Baltimore. I need to learn how to defend myself. I'm like, yeah, I understand. So everything that I was teaching was all about self-defense. And that's where this kata came from, because I felt if I taught this to the incoming freshmen, by the time they got into their 3rd and 4th year, their movement was not subpar. So they were understanding the movement before they were understanding the techniques. Does that make sense? So all of these drills are about understanding how to get the body to the fight, and more important, away from the fight. All right, because going home, coming from Baltimore, just because you knuckled up with somebody don't mean that fight's over. All right, because you hear a beep beep, and you know that that's the top, that's them going to their trunk if you're not from Baltimore. So that's you, and you know it's time to making your way home. All right, so all of these are about that. So when you're throwing this haymaker, all I'm trying to get you to do is get into the stance, coil up, be ready to move, and then assess the situation and make the proper movements. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit here. We're having a conversation. He's going to take a step forward, I'm going to take a step back, and then he's going to throw the slow. All we're going to do is that push we were practicing, the very first one. Push. This is, anybody know the Big Ten? Thank you. This is the first technique of one of the classic katas. Has everybody got that? This technique leads into 20 or 30% of Aikido, just for this entry. Does that make sense? And they usually learn this within the first 2 or 3 weeks. And then we're just constantly building on it, and building on it, and building on it, and building on it. So we're building the technique from the foundation, the footwork, up through the hands. Because the hands, believe it or not, everybody wants to work on hands. Like, I can do this really quick. Yeah, but you're gonna get punched in the face. So we gotta weigh the odds on this. All right? So all we're gonna do is very simple. You're gonna throw, step in, turn, rear foot back. He's gonna land. You get to decide what you do there. This is my wrestling. All right, very slowly. Yep, so 1 foot back, throw. He's gonna go. Simple. No falls, no falls. What I want to work on is the coil. Because if you do this, that's giving him information. Does that make sense? You want to go from, anybody see? From no motion to motion. Got it? You don't want to give information. You don't want to lead. You want to coil, release. Got it? Curl, try it out.